Alrighty, what's up everybody? It is I, your tribal god of extreme, Peter Joseph here for video number 2 on your late Wednesday night, January the 21st, 2026. Thank you all for watching this particular video on Metal God 669. And as always, thank you for watching. Make sure you like the video and subscribe right now. Right now. Do it now. That's that. Alright, as always, when we get serious, we don't do any of the fancy intro, so... because we don't need to. That's that. But if you're coming to my channel for the first time, this is a channel, basically, half music and half tribute channel to the faithful departed in wrestling, in other sports, in movies, music, politics, whatever it may be. So it's not for clout and not for any for views or anything like that. I'm just paying tribute to the people that I grew up with and that I've been watching for many years, close to 50 years and stuff like that. So if you like that, good. But if you like music and music-related videos, I do that too. I have some music concert footage. I have some unbaggings from In This Moment, or New Year's Day, or whatever CDs I get here and there. I know CDs are pretty much out of date right now, but I talk about that. I talk about the new releases. I talk about some music news here and there. And like I said, I do some concert footage and all that other good stuff. So, if you like the channel, please hit the subscribe button and hit that bell for more. And that's all, that's pretty much it. But anyway, as the title below says, before we get to that, check out for you wrestling fans out there, check out my NXT review over on my Peter Joseph channel. Link will be down below in the description box. And that's that. But on this late Wednesday night, January the 21st, 2026, or if you're watching later or tomorrow, or whenever you're going to be watching this, it is January the 22nd, 2026, and as the title below says, we have another untimely death. Now, actually, we have two deaths. I'm going to get to the first one really quickly. For all you old-timers out there, I know there's a lot of people a little bit older than me that grew up with the Grateful Dead. Bob Weir, the other guitar player in the band, he passed away a couple days ago. So, just want to pay my respects to Bob Weir and his family and the fans of the Grateful Dead. Like I said, older than me, because some of you youngsters out there don't even know who the Grateful Dead are. But it's an amazing band. We all know most of you know Jerry Garcia. And no, not the ice cream, but he was a great man, great guitar player. And one of their big hits was Touch of Grey, which is my favorite Grateful Dead song. There's so many, but that's one of my favorite ones, because it's an 80s tune, because I'm an 80s guy, so. But it is what it is. So, Bob Weir, rest in peace, sir. And hope you're playing up there with Eddie Van Halen and Jerry Garcia. And all the other greats that are up there in the big, humongous concert hall in the sky. That's that. So, Bob Weir, rest in peace, sir. But, as the real title below says, the second part of this video, we lost another icon or legend in the world of professional wrestling. Now, some of you might, like I said, a lot of people don't know the old school days of wrestling, like the golden years of the golden age of wrestling from the 1980s up till the early 90s, when that's the new generation era of WWE, the early days of WCW, the dead days of NWA, ECW coming around, and then WWF pretty much going in a really bad direction until, until the Attitude Era came in the mid 90s into the 2000s, and then WCW go bye-bye, ECW kind of going on the upswing, then started going down right around after 2000. And the Ruthless Aggression Era, which pretty much was that, the birth of TNA, the birth of Ring of Honor, and PG era, all the way up till the pandemic era, the new era, and now we're in the Netflix era, if you think about it. I don't know what era we're in, reality era, whatever you want to call it. But this particular gentleman was part of the golden era, a little bit of the 70s, the late 70s, into the 60s, going into the 70s and early 80s. And that man is Bobby Duncam Sr. Now, we all know, some of you guys know Bobby Duncam Jr., his son, who was in WCW for a little while. He passed away in 2000 due to a drug overdose. But Bobby Duncam Sr. has passed away earlier tonight at the age of 81. I didn't know this until I heard it from a good friend, Bill Apter, from OneWrestling.com, the legendary Bill Apter. By the way, I'm subscribed to his channel, and lo and behold, one of his videos popped up on my subscription feed, and he did a video about Bobby Duncam Sr., and I checked it out, and lo and behold, he has passed away. So I decided, since I did follow the AWA, which Bobby Duncam Sr. was a part of for a brief time, since I'm a big wrestling guy, so felt like I should do a proper tribute to Bobby Duncam Sr. Now, he was known for his heel cowboy persona. He was a prominent figure in major wrestling promotions from the late 60s to mid-80s. And he made his debut in 1966. And he was trained by the great man that he is, Dory Funk Jr. We all know the Funk brothers, Terry, Dory Funk Sr., Dory Funk Jr. They're up there, and, I think, Terry's up there. We all know. I think Dory Funk as well. They're hanging out up there in wrestling heaven up there. So, Terry, you got another guy up there. So, but anyway. So, he wrestled for the wwf before it became the WWF, which then became the WWE that we all know and love it today. But, the WWF, the Worldwide Wrestling Federation. He also wrestled for the NWA, the National Wrestling Alliance, and the American Wrestling Association, AWA, where he faced legends like Bruno Sammartino, Bob Backlund, and Hulk Hogan brother. And one of his most famous catchphrases during some of his interviews that he did, and he did a lot of interviews with a lot of Gordon Soley and people like that. You understand? You understand? Not understand, you understand. UNNASTAN. You understand? So he had that drawl like a cowboy would have, like a southerner would have. And he cut some pretty damn good promos back in the day. You could just YouTube it. Anyway, he was part, in the AWA, he was a member of the iconic Heenan family, or the Heenan stable, managed by, as always, the great man that he is, Hall of Famer Bobby the Brain Heenan. He held the AWA World Tag Team titles with Blackjack Lanza, another legend. He also held numerous regional titles, including multiple NWA Florida and NWA Brass Knuckles championships throughout his the NWA territory days. Prior to his wrestling career, he was an All-American football player for the West Texas A&M Buffaloes. He was drafted by the St. Louis Cardinals before they became the Rams in 1967 NFL AFL draft. Played 4 professional games. Wow, he didn't have a great football career, but he played 4 games for the St. Louis Cardinals in 1968. During his personal life, he retired from wrestling in 1986. He was the father of, like I said, the father of Bobby Duncam Jr., who died in January 2000 from an accidental drug overdose. He used the Bulldog maneuver as his primary finisher in the late 70s while wrestling for the WWF. His wrestling style was that of a rugged cowboy-style brawler. In addition to the Bulldog, some of the other moves he incorporated into his matches included the lariat, sometimes from the top rope, and a basic power slam. Now, he was, I believe, one of the first cowboy style wrestlers, if you will. If you could say Terry Funk and Dory Funk, the Funk Brothers, as well. They played some cowboys in there. They had the branding iron and all that other stuff, which led to Cowboy Bob Orton Jr., Cowboy Bob Orton Sr., JBL later on. Outlaw Ron Bass played a cowboy, and a mean cowboy with a spike on his spurs, basically. I still remember when he spiked Brutus the Barber Beefcake. I forgot what was on. I think it was on Superstars of Wrestling or Wrestling Challenge. That was nasty. I mean, Brutus Beefcake was gushing blood. It was just, they had to blur it, some of it. Well, not the actual broadcast. When they replayed it, they had to blur it. Because it was not good for TV back then. But really now you don't see many cowboy type gimmicks in professional wrestling like TNA or I know people are gonna say Jimmy Wang Yang, but I know that doesn't count. He played a decent cowboy, but it just didn't fit his style, Jimmy Wang Yang, we all know, is a high flyer, and then they just give him this cowboy gimmick. It fit, but, it is what it is. Who else? I think there was a tag team called the Flying Elvises, I forget. But this, like I said, I can't remember a lot of cowboy-style wrestlers besides JBL from, the current crop of wrestling, or even a couple 20 years ago. But we got that. I'm getting that. But Bobby Duncam was one of those guys that he did everything. He pretty much did everything in wrestling. He was a great guy, and just gone a little bit too soon in my eyes. But that's that. I'll get into some of his actual matches. Like I said, he feuded with Bruno Sammartino for the WWF title in the mid-70s. One of his classic matches, a match at Madison Square Garden in November of '74, ended in a double disqualification due to blood loss. I mean, they beat the shit out of each other. I did not see the match, because obviously I wasn't born until '76. But I did see some highlights later on in Bruno's career, stuff like that. So yeah, the match ended in double DQ due to blood loss, leading to a rematch in December where Bruno ultimately won that feud. Then he moved on to Bob Backlund, who he fiercely challenged for the WWF title in the late '70s. I think after Bruno lost the title to, I think he lost the title to Bob Backlund, or I forget who. Anyway, their feud included a non-finished match at MSG in 1979, which set up a famous Texas Death Match the following month, which was won by Bob Backlund. He also wrestled the big Dream Baby, Dusty Rhodes, in a whole bunch of Texas bull rope matches in the NWA territories, which were stuff of legend matches known for their brutality and violence, which was one of his highlighted career matches in the Southern promotions. Blackjack Lanza, like I said, he was a tag team champion with part of the Heenan family, where they held the AWA World Tag Team titles. He also had feuds with Lanza in other territories. Very bloody battles, I might add. I mean, it's insane. And then in the early 80s, before Hogan went to the WWF, he was in the AWA, Bobby Duncam faced Hulk Hogan in various matches, contributing to the rise of Hulk Hogan's popularity, brother. So without Bobby Duncam and a few others, you wouldn't see Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan probably would have never went to the WWF by then. Could have stayed in the AWA, could have went who knows where, but there would be no Hulkamania, you know. Or Thunder Lips brother from another mother. The ultimate lover. You know, something like that. Yeah, I'm not going to go into everything with Bobby Dunkam's life and everything, but just an amazing man. I don't think he's a Hall of Famer. As far as I know, he's not in the WWF Hall of Fame. He should be, but that remains to be seen. Don't get me started with the WWF Hall of Fame the way it is. They don't put people that should be in, but because you know who runs that mostly now, Hunter and company now. I mean, next year we got Stephanie McMahon. And, I think somebody else is going. I know Stephanie, I forget, let me look that up. So I'm doing this off my notes and everything. Let's see here, hold on, oh, just got Stephanie. I thought we had another person there, but it's, Stephanie McMahon. Is the right now she's the first person going to be inducted into the 2026 WWE Hall of Fame. And that's going to be at WrestleMania, as we all know. Yeah, it's going to be in Vegas at WrestleMania 42. John Cena has also been being rumored to headline that, obviously because he just retired. Now, AJ Styles might be one of them, a rumored one too, because he has a retirement match against Walter at the Royal Rumble next Saturday night. So, Cena will probably be announced, who knows when, but I think AJ Styles could be another candidate, because he will probably be retiring. His contract's supposed to, actually ends in February, so it's most likely he's going to lose to Walter. Then again, who knows, but since Walter's doing his career killer gimmick, it kind of fits that Walter will retire AJ Styles and we'll never see him again. I wish he just had one more match in TNA, or go to AEW and have a semi-reunion with the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega, you know, bring back the Elite Bullet Club. Maybe, just maybe, Adam Cole will come back to wrestling to really reform that Bullet Club. But it is what it is. But we'll talk about that Hall of Fame later. Who could possibly go in besides Cena and possibly AJ. You know, we already had the woman in. We already have a woman in. Now we gotta get some tag teams. There's a rumor that the Golden Girls, Leilani Kai, and I forgot her partner. Shit, it escapes me right now. They might go in. The Jumping Bomb Angels. I've been saying that for years. They should be going in. So I don't know who might be the tag team, whether it be male or female. Manager. I really don't. I can't answer that right now. I don't think there's any. I think pretty much almost all the managers are in. Yeah, Slick is in. Classy Freddie Blassie, Bobby Heenan. Teddy Long, who was a manager for Doom back in the day, he's there. Paul Heyman, been a manager as well. He's in the Hall of Fame. Jimmy Hart's in the Hall of Fame. Mr. Fuji's in the Hall of Fame. I think, well, Paul Bearer's in the Hall of Fame. I think, Engelbert Humperdinck, I think he's in the Hall of Fame as well. If he's not, he should be. But I digress on that. But there's so many people that should be in the WWE Hall of Fame that are not in the Hall of Fame, Miss Elizabeth. And so many others. I think there's Batista's on the ballot, or he was rumored to be in there. But I think Sid Vicious as well. But, but it is what it is. So yeah, I would definitely put Bobby Duncam Sr. and maybe his son in there in the WWE Hall of Fame someday, but I don't know. Like I said, I don't run the WWE Hall of Fame. I'm just a almost 50-year-old schmuck from New York wanting people to get in the Hall of Fame. I can't answer, for who runs that and who picks the participants to go into the WWE Hall of Fame. I wish it would just go to the fans, like have a fan vote, like you have in certain sports. You sometimes have the fan vote, but we don't have that in wrestling. Wish we did. If we had that, I would definitely put Miss Elizabeth first on that list. I think a lot of people would. And if not, I don't know where you've been, but I digress. Anyway, so that's pretty much it. So I'm gonna get out of here. I'm gonna probably go to sleep. I'm gonna try to record. Yeah, I might be able to record your AEW review. I'm gonna do a little mini version of the AEW review for tonight, and then I'm gonna go to sleep, and then I'll try to get the Monday Night Raw review. I had to redo that because I put it on the wrong channel and I deleted it, and now I'm gonna redo it and re-upload it. So that'll be coming tomorrow. And then late tomorrow night, your TNA on AMC review for episode number 2. And hopefully it's way better than last week. 173,000 views. Ugh. So hopefully get a better show this week. Maybe Carlos will put his healing touch on it. Maybe we'll get way more than 173. Go way up. But, like I said, I don't know. We'll see what happens with that. Alright, so the Bobby Duncam Jr. Rest in Peace, and as I always do on my Rest in Peace videos, I like to take a little sippy sip of whatever I got. And in this case, ladies and gentlemen, we have Fruit Punch. So, we have Fruit Punch from this little brand, Body Armor, which is basically Temu Gatorade. So, we got that. But in any case, ladies and gentlemen, to Bobby Duncam Sr., rest in peace, sir, to Bobby Duncam's family. I send my condolences, and that's pretty much it. So, Bobby Duncam Sr. Bobby Duncam Sr., great man, rest in peace, sir, and hopefully now you're hanging out with your son up there in heaven. So, rest in peace, sir. Cheers. That's good. A little tangy, but still good. Anyway. But leave me your thoughts about Bobby Duncam Sr. down below in the comment section. And like Trick Willie would say, let's talk about it. That's that. So, thanks for watching, and just remember, ladies and gentlemen, take each day as it comes. Live life to 90%, the other 10%, I don't know. That's it. Just live your life the best way you could. Take each day as it comes. One day at a time, my friends, like that great hit 80s TV show, One Day at a Time. That's how you should basically live your life, one day at a time. And that's pretty much it. I know life is hard, got a lot of struggles in your life and distractions and everything, but just, keep going until the good Lord calls you. You may not be ready at whatever age you may be, but when the good Lord calls your number, you got to be ready, because He might have something else for you in the afterlife, and that's that. But we're all gonna be together in heaven. Some of you might not be there, but it is what it is. But we're all gonna be there to meet our loved ones in the afterlife, and hopefully we'll come back in the next life a bigger, better person. But we shall see what happens with that. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Bobby Duncam Sr. Rest in peace, sir. And that's it. Thanks for watching, everybody. Until next time. Peace.